Hi, this is Elliot from Workload. In this video, we're going to be building a workflow, starting with the trigger of a new form submission in Jotform. Then we're going to take the response from that trigger and filter it through our AI formatter by Workload. Once we have that filtered response, then we're going to create a new patient in DrChrono. All right, let's get to work. So we're going to start here at our workload editor, and we're going to give our workflow a title. So this is going to be Jotform to DrChrono. And now we can start building our workflow. So I'm going to click inside of the trigger box, and I'm going to select the app that I want my trigger to begin from. So that's going to be in Jotform. Then we're going to have an event of a new form submission. I'm going to click continue. I'm going to choose my Jotform account. And then the form ID is going to be the specific form that I want to trigger this workflow. So this is going to be a new patient registration. So a patient fills out my Jotform I created for new patient registration, then that will trigger our workflow. So let's test our trigger to make sure there's some submissions to find. And here we have a submission from Tilda von Deutsch. And if I look at this form, it's a little bit complicated, so that there's all of this information in the response that we don't necessarily need. The only thing that we need are inside of these arrays called answer. So here's a name, here's an email address, here's a phone number. And so I want to do something to extract those specific answers out from this response to make it easier for me to plug information into DrChrono. So I'm going to click continue at the bottom of this step for my trigger. And then in my next box, the first action I'm going to build is going to be using one of our tools. So I'm going to click on the tools icon here on the right side of our box. And I'm going to select AI formatter by workload. And we're going to use the format data event. And we're going to click inside this first box that says input data. And I'm going to select from our drop-down menu the new form submission. And I'm going to find where all the information I want is stored. So all of the things that we want are inside of this answers array. So I'm going to click into the answers, and that's going to be the input data that we're going to feed into our formatter. And for a prompt, I'm going to paste in one that I wrote before that says find all of the fields titled answer and make this into a separate response, then flatten this response so that none of the fields are contained within an array. And if you are making the same workflow, you can copy this exact same prompt to use, and you'll get the response that you want. So I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to test that action. And now you can see those are the answers that I want for my form, and they're just by themselves simple and flat. So I can pick them out from this formatted response and drop them right into DrChrono. So I'm happy with the way that looks. So I'm going to click continue. And I'm going to add a new action. And I want to make sure I click here in the third box. And that new action is going to be to create a patient in DrChrono. So I'm going to find DrChrono. My event is create patient. And I'm going to choose my DrChrono account. And then find the information from our formatted response to put into our create patient action. So I'm going to click in the first box where it says first name. I'm going to come down here to our second step of our formatted response and find the first name of our patient. Then I'm going to find the last name of our patient. For doctor ID, this is going to be from my DrChrono account. And I'm going to select the doctor whose patient this is. So this workflow is only going to create patients for this doctor. So if you have more than one doctor in your practice, you're going to have to create unique workflows with unique jot forms in order to have each doctor with their own specific workflow. For gender, I'm going to pull that out of my formatted response. And email. Date of birth. And the cell phone. So once I've selected all of those responses, I'm going to click continue. And I'm going to test my action. And here we have a success. A new patient created in DrChrono. So if I were to click over into my DrChrono account and go to my patient list, down here in the bottom, we have our new patient, Tilda Van Deutsch. And right now, this only has those fields filled out from our registration form. So in order to complete the patient, I would need insurance information, a mailing address, various other information that I could collect either in a more complicated registration form or collect from the patient later. But at least now I've got a jump start and the patient is created inside of DrChrono. So once my workflow is the way I want it, and I've got a green dot in each one of my nodes saying it's set up correctly, then I can turn on my workflow to activate it. And now every time a patient fills out that specific jot form, then this workflow will be activated and that patient will be created in my DrChrono account. So that's how you can use a new form submission in Jotform and our AI formatter by Workload to create a new patient in DrChrono. Please like and subscribe this video if you want to see more content from Workload about how to make your business practices run more smoothly. And I'll see you next time.